Hi everybody and welcome to the week 29 update on the rarest birds seen in the Netherlands and the Western Palearctic. In this video we have a real mega and one of the most wanted birds in the Netherlands. So let's get into it. In the waterfowl department we still have some summering ducks from the Americas, with the American widgeon, who was visited mostly by birders working on the Eternal Month list. No photos were taken this week, as the bird was only seen brief and at a very large distance. This week, both lesser scorps were seen. Now the birds are in eclipse plumage, the bird from Flevoland is often seen at a very close distance, but when they are in their breeding plumage, I can't seem to get a chance to film one up close. I'm paying close attention, and if it's still there when in breeding plumage, I sure will try it. Still going strong was the Squacco heron, which was seen until the 17th. So probably this is for now the last report the species will be featured in, or it must resurface somewhere else in the country. Black-crowned night herons are also arriving in larger numbers, with a group of 21 birds at a non-breeding location for the species in the Netherlands. But with presumed escaped birds at different locations, one can only wonder what their origin is, although based on historic data, it seems chances are high that we do get wild birds from the southern and eastern Europe in the summer. Numbers of black stork are slowly increasing, so adding one to your self-find list is getting easier and easier. On this map we can see where they were reported in week 29. Glossy ibis started the week with singles at multiple locations, but on the 21st suddenly a group of 7 birds showed up in the southwest. The next day likely the same group was refound in Flevoland. They were last reported there at 5:30. At 7:30 Hans van Oosterhout picked up likely the same group flying southwards again in North Holland, after which they weren't seen again. Dirk Lautenbach found the only redneck phalarope of the week at the salt marshes of Friesland. This week 3 marsh sandpipers were reported, one in Drenthe. Although the photo is of bad quality, it seems to point to this species. In June there was also a marsh sandpiper present here. Maybe the same bird? Others were found by Buddy van Nieuwenhoven and Rob Remets. The only broad-billed sandpiper of the week was the bird from Texel, which was only reported by single observers on the 16th and 19th. Gull-billed terns have already started to spread out more over the Netherlands, as can be seen on this map. And while whisker terns are now breeding in multiple nature reserves scattered around the provinces of Groningen and Drenthe, the white-winged tern stays the rarer of the two, with occasionally some breeding pairs here and there, although I'm not aware of a breeding attempt this year. This week there was only one report of 2 birds at an owl in the IJssel Lake. On the 16th, Ika Lohman saw, while driving his car, 3 griffon vultures flying over. Later he refound them and it turned out there were 4 actually. The observation was made a mere 10 kilometers from my house, but although I was at home, I really didn't have the time to chase them, knowing that the chance of success is very low. However, 2 hours later the birds were seen soaring above my local patch. They were seen by Anna Diephuis, who stood on the large watchtower. This is not even 3 kilometers from my house, so I rushed into the garden in the hope to see them from there. The birds flew towards my town, but just too much to the southwest for me to pick them up from my garden sadly. 2 days later, one flew over Gelderland. A black-winged kite was noted by a single observer in Zeeland. No information about the observation was added to the report, only a couple of photos from which the species is just barely identifiable. A maximum of 4 short-toed eagles were seen together at the Vogelovenveen. There were also other reports of mostly non-photographed birds. Their distribution over the week can be seen on this map. The mega from the week, and for many people the highlight of the year so far, was the blue-cheeked bee-eater in the dunes near Amsterdam, found by Rutger Rotschiet when he took a beginning birder for a hike in this area. Blue-cheeked bee-eaters show up more often in northwestern Europe these last couple of years, and this one also wasn't the only one seen in northwestern Europe in this period, but more on that in part 2 of the video. This one is the 6th record for the Netherlands, but only the first who stayed longer than 3 hours, making it the first for many birders. Many of them who had just missed the bird from last year shown here on screen. Last year there was also another report of one at a Groningen Wardenaal, which is only accessible to wardens. This record was rejected, however, as no photos could be obtained and not enough details could be seen during the brief observation. The blue-cheeked bee-eater winters in Central Africa and breeds in the Middle East and Northwestern Africa. If I had to put my money on it, I would guess the origin of our birds lie in the east instead of the south, as the species is already a mega in the Iberian Peninsula. European bee-eaters were also reported a couple of times this week, as can be seen on this map. Hopefully it won't take long before we get news about the breeding results in the Netherlands. And if luck is on our side, some twitchable groups, like for instance last year in the Lauwers Lake. Although the resident hooded crow from Schiermonnikoog was seen building a nest with a black crow, no hybrid young was seen on the island. I guess the breeding attempt failed, which is for birds a good thing, I guess, as some of those hybrids are not so easily distinguished from a pure hooded crow. Some birds have only some dark markings on the back and undertail coverts. As summer progresses, sitting Cidsticolas are seen on more and more locations. On this map you can see where all the birds were reported. There is also still one present at my local patch, which you can see here on screen. But it is such a difficult species to get good footage of, so I'm happy I even got these. Then the Western Palearctic part of the video. From the 15th until the 17th, for the third year in a row, a fork-tailed swift was present on Shetland. This is the 30th record for the Western Palearctic. We have one of those in the Netherlands, which was gone before anyone could twitch it. On the 16th, Finland got its first Siberian sandplower, a species still missing on the Dutch list. In fact, we also don't have the other lesser sandplower, the Tibetan sandplower. It's about time we get one of those. Maybe we can catch it on its way south later this autumn? The Netherlands wasn't the only country that featured the blue-cheeked bee-eater this week, as on the 19th there was also one present in Norway. On the 21st, Norway got another mega as a singing song sparrow was found, which is the second record for Norway and the 20th record for the Western Palearctic. Predictions for next week are about the same as last week. Look for waders like marsh sandpiper, pectoral sandpiper, Darracq sandpiper, Pacific golden plover, but also gull-billed tern as a good patch species, and of course black-crowned night heron and black stork. If you liked the video, then like, leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe, because Sunday I will upload a new video. And if you haven't already seen the video about the collared pratincool, spotted sandpiper and red-wattled lapwing, you can click the thumbnail I show on screen. See you next time!